Saturday, St Albans, solid victory, well taken from a set piece worked out on the training ground. But did Saturday's game, with the way that St Albans played it at times, prove how different games are going to be this season?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as we're concerned, it was sort of almost a game of two halves, really. You know, first half, the plan we had against them was excellent. The boys performed it fantastic. We nicked it in their half a lot of times and created a lot of opportunities from that, and we're getting a lot of joy. Second half, being 1-0 up, sort of not having to sort of go too hard at it, we sort of dropped a little bit deeper than what we would have liked, because first half we kept a great line defensively and limited them to penalty area entries, final third entries. Second half we didn't so much, and we were a little bit deeper and invited them on a little bit, and as the game went on, a little bit tired. So the disappointment from our point of view was the ball retention when we did win it back in the second half. That was therefore we tired a little bit, so because of the work rate the boys are putting in, and you know, you can't argue with their effort. But it does go to show there's different real varying styles in the division. You've got a lot of teams that are trying to play out from the back and try and play through the thirds, and then there's other teams that will be a little bit more direct and physical and athletic. So there's throughout the whole season you're going to come up with a plethora of different options of styles, and we've got to be adaptable to that ourselves. And really important is making sure we stamp our style on any game as well. So that's key.
A fair few key players missing for that game on Saturday. So how pleasing it was for you and the gaffer to see that those that did step in were ready to go, and the backup coming off the bench as well also just solidified certain parts of that game on Saturday.
Yeah, really good. You know, it's cliche, but it's a squad game, as they say, and you're going to have to use everybody at some stage, and it's important. And what's really good is the players keeping themselves mentally right when not in the team, to be able to come in the team and affect it. There's a saying that two great people say, Judy Garland and Gary Johnson, you've got to be ready to be lucky. And a few of the boys have to be, you know, for instance, Dylan De Silva coming into the game and done well. So, but what was really pleasing is to see Callum Thomas on the bench, you know, one of our own sort of academy products. So credit to everyone in the youth setup that we have, because they've done a great job with Callum, and he's come in and not looked out of place. So really happy for him that he was able to be involved, and it was a really good experience for him.
Now we come to this weekend, and I'm sure 2 quick games in succession, which I'm sure proves its own problems. We've got obviously Braintree at home on Monday, starting with a trip to Slough on Saturday. Got their first win of the season last Saturday against unbeaten Western. So the tails are going to be up a little bit. So does that alter your thoughts with stuff on the training pitch?
It doesn't alter our thoughts too much. You know, credit to Slough, they were fantastic. In the game against Western, they really had a game plan, and they played it to a T. They couldn't have got a better start in the game, you know, by nicking it and transitioning, and their counter attacks were very good. They played from front to back really quick, which is a little bit against from, you know, what we've seen previous against their style. But they knew they had a sort of an outlet in their front three, and they did that. So there's elements we need to be aware. But at the same time, for us, we still have to, cliche again, but really have to focus on what we do and how we go about it. We know there's more to come from us. You know, it's good that we've won the last couple, so it gives everybody confidence in what we're doing. But at the same time, we know there's more to come, and there's elements on the training ground that we've been working on, and we want to see them come to fruition, regardless of who we play. But at the same time, we've always got to be mindful of the threats that oppositions are posed to us, and they do. There's real threats in this division. So we've got to make sure we're aware of them, but also make sure we really stamp our game on the game we want to play on any given game. And there's that added sort of dimension to it with the 2 games in 3 days. So again, that squad is really important for us. That if anybody has to come in throughout the 2 games, 3 days, that they're going to be, you know, ready for it, and that they're mentally right as much as anything. And our recovery process in between is going to be really important. So they're a couple of key things we have to take on in this. But we've been in around the sort of 2 games in 3 days situation quite a lot. so we understand what's needed. So we've just got to make sure that there's no excuses from us. We're all in it, even though we're playing 15, 20 minutes longer. But every team's doing that. So we've just got to make sure we embrace it, get on with it, have no excuses, and hopefully come out the right end come the end of this weekend of 2 results.
Now, obviously, everyone's got the same scenario, the same routine this weekend with the 2 games in 3 days. First of 8 games this season that are going to be played on artificial pitches, and as with grass pitches, the artificial pitches also have their differences as well, don't they?
Yeah, they vary in sort of depend when they were laid and depend who lays it and whatnot. So some are used a lot more than others, some are fresher. So you've got to, same with football pitches. Some, for instance, St Albans, that I know their manager wanted the pitch a little bit less long than what it was to play the game they wanted to play. So it hindered them in the end as much as us. So again, playing more's been perfect the last couple of weeks. The games we've played on has been absolutely perfect. But we're not going to come up against. We're going to come up against teams maybe not as blessed as well as our groundsmen have done. And then the artificial pitches. So, again, that no excuse sort of mentality is key. We're going to have to play on them. Every team's going to have to go there and play on them. So we can't use that as an excuse before we get there. So we're taking that out of the equation by training on AstroTurf beforehand, doing everything we can to prepare. But as you say, on the day, it's about us showing up and the right mentality of the players going into the game. That's the key thing.